Welcome to the video. My name is Ronnie Dents. I'm a visual artist from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm here right now in beautiful Istanbul, and I'm going to tell you a story that was crazy and that transformed my life. For this part of the story, I'm gonna have to take it back to 2018. I was working at a barber shop. I was with a coworker, and we were trying to figure out how we were gonna build our business up. We wanted to get some flyers to make the barber shop look real nice and invite some new customers to come in. So we take a trip down to the print shop, and all's going well. On the way back is when everything took a turn for the worst. We're on our way back to the barber shop, and we're but a few blocks away, and we see this truck riding behind us. And it's not swerving or anything, it's just moving kind of weird. And I remember my partner saying, yo, they gonna stop that truck. And so we decided to move into a different lane to avoid the truck, and the police moved into our lane. And then we moved into another lane, and then the police followed us back into that lane. And it was at that moment when we knew that they were following us. So I had been clean for a while. I probably started smoking weed when I was like 16. And I had been smoking weed all the way until maybe my college years or something like that. But I had stopped smoking weed for a while. Felt like I didn't need it anymore. It had been a while since I had smoked. But I decided to go and get some weed. And I got it in a little guard wrapper, and I forgot that I had it. Completely forgot that I had it. The police lights click on, and they're behind us. And so then they pull us over, and I don't remember why they pulled us over. I think it was like the tinted windows or something like that. But they pulled us over, and then they said that they smelled weed in the car. So they wanted to search us, which I didn't think was a problem because, of course, I didn't know I had no weed on me. I completely forgot about it. Well, they searched me. They searched me, they reached in my pocket, and in there they found it, the guard wrapper with all the weed, all in one place. They took us, they sat us on top of the police car, me and my friend, and when he sat down on the police car with me, he told me, yo, I'm gonna keep it 100% honest with you. I got a bunch of stuff in that car. And sure enough, when they searched the car, they found everything. They found over $1,000 in cash, cocaine. They found crack cocaine, a gun, which is a felony. We got arrested, and we got taken to Orleans Parish Prison. And this was my first time going to jail. Not just sitting down, but jail. We go into the jail, they process us, and they book us and everything, and when I saw my charges, I could have swore I was about to pass out. Possession of cocaine with intent to distribute, possession of crack cocaine with intent to distribute, possession of a firearm, possession of marijuana with intent to distribute. So they suited me up in my orange jumpsuit, and they processed me into the jail. And we're in New Orleans, so New Orleans is very, very small. So when I went in there, people recognized me. They're all like, yo, right side. They got right side? Oh, wazam, dog. Some people trying to be friendly with me, and I'm like, nah. I was deep in my thoughts at the time, worried about what was gonna happen. A little while after being in the jail, after a while you have to go to the courthouse. So they chain us all up, they bring us onto the jail bus, and then they take us over to the courthouse. On the way to the courthouse, I meet this young dude. He's like in his early 20s or something like that. He's from California, and he'd been in there for a couple months. And I don't know what it was, but he told me, he was like, yo, man, you trying to pray? And I was like, hell yeah, I'm trying to pray. I can use all the prayers I can get right about now. And so we sat there, we prayed a little bit, and then they moved us to go into the courthouse. We get to the courthouse, and they bring us into this small holding room. It's about 15 feet wide, 4 feet across, and they moved us into one side in a line, all single file, and then they would file the other inmates onto the other side of the wall as they processing them, getting ready for them to go into the courthouse. And so this is the part of the story where everybody's together and we're all sharing our charges together. We're all giving each other the charges, and everybody is when you're in jail, everybody's a lawyer in jail. Everybody knows how to tell you what's going to happen with your charges, but they can't figure out their own charges. So everybody has something to say about my charges. They look at it, and they're looking at my charges, and they're like, I don't know, it's looking kind of bad. And the last thing that you want to hear when you're showing your charges to a bunch of inmates, some people who've been in there for many years, is them having saddened facial expressions. They're looking like, oh man, I don't know what you're gonna do about this. Like, there were some people who was in there who had those same charges, who've been in there for 10, 15 years or something like that. So I feel like this is the part where my faith was tested. I'm hearing all these horror stories. People are telling me, yo man, it's not looking good for you. You probably gonna be in there for some time. And so I'm real nervous at this point. That's when the fear really started to settle in. I started to think, maybe I'm not gonna get out of this. And then, as they file the first set of inmates into the courthouse, they move us on the opposite wall, head low, facing the wall. And then I looked up, and right in front of me, carved real big into the wall, was just the word Jesus. I just prayed, and when I saw that name, I felt something. When I saw that name, a peace rushed over me, like a peace that I couldn't even explain. And it was just like, somehow I knew at that moment that everything was gonna be okay. It was like God was giving me a sign. So they moved me to the courthouse. I'm in the courtroom, they got the judge in there. I see my mom. I see the people who came there for my friend. And then something unbelievable happened. The older friend that I was with, first of all, he took full responsibility. He took all his charges. And that's something that, I had to respect him for that, because he didn't have to do that. He could have said some of that was mine, and because it was way more serious for him. He had been to jail before. This was like his third strike. It was real easy for him to try and get out of that situation, but he didn't. He took his charges. So because of that, and a couple other miraculous things that happened, my charges got reduced down to just a simple possession of marijuana charge. I went from facing possibly 10 years or more to walking out there with a charge that I could actually handle. That peace that I had, I can't express how relieved I was when the judge said that you only have a simple possession of marijuana charge. And then his lawyer was amazing too. I had a public defender. His lawyer was amazing, and so he pulled off some kind of magic trick and worked out something for him. I won't go into all the details about that, but he would tell you it was amazing for him too. We talked to some people who were in the jail who had the same exact charges that we had, who had been in there for 10 years, 15 years. But God made a way. God made a way for us, man. And this is when things start to get a little bit more crazy. So listen to this. You never hear music in jail. I asked a lot of people this after I had left. Do you ever hear music in jail? And people was like, no, you never hear music in jail. Not on the bus, not in the jail, not in the courthouse, definitely not in the courthouse. But after all this happened, after the prayer, after seeing the words Jesus, after my charges miraculously getting dropped to a possession charge, and everything that happened to my friend also, when we walked back on to the jail bus on our way back to the jail, the song that was playing was Big Sean Blessed. And I really was blessed. Me and my partner, man, we start dancing in there. Man, the people who was on that bus was like, what is wrong with these dudes? These dudes must be crazy or something. Why are they so happy? But we knew that something miraculous happened. Something that could not be naturally explained was going on for us. And we felt really blessed in that moment. I get back to the jail. I'm keeping my head down. I'm keeping it quiet. Like, I'm calm at this point. Ever since I saw the words Jesus, I was calm. And definitely after these charges. So I'm chilling. I even played basketball in there. I'm talking to some dudes about fluoride toothpaste and stuff like that. And I watched The Dark Knight. I just had that peace, man. And there's a Bible verse that goes with that. It says that the peace I give you is a peace that surpasses all understanding. And I felt that in that moment because it didn't make no sense for me to feel as good as I was feeling in the middle of jail, surrounded by all these inmates, and they had some crazy characters in there. Maybe I'll tell a little bit about that story later. Maybe 10 hours later, something like that, I'm sitting in there, and then they call my name on the intercom. They say, Ronnie Dents, your person's here to bond you out. I was like, look guys, y'all dudes are cool or whatever, but I don't think I want to see y'all no more, unless maybe we could see each other on the outside. So I leave the jail, I go home, phone comes back on. My partners, they called me, they already knew I was in jail. They was like, Ronnie's phone is off for 2 whole days. No answer. They automatically knew I was in jail. So they was comforting me. It was probably like 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And they were swapping their jail stories, telling about how they were in similar situations and things like that. And they reminded me that the very next morning we had to attend one of our friends' mom's funeral. She had just passed. Next morning I get ready, I go to the funeral. Service was beautiful. Afterward we had the repast. Now if you know anything about New Orleans, we celebrate a little bit different. We like to celebrate the homegoing of people as they transition. So they're playing some music, New Orleans bounce music. If you ever been to New Orleans, you know about it. And I had been a dancer for a long time. Since I was like 16 years old, I was a bounce dancer. Had a lot of videos on YouTube. They used to go viral and stuff like that. And so when they get to dancing, all my friends gather around. They like, yo, right side, you got to come in here. You got to do this dance, man. I'm like, man. They convinced me to go in the circle and dance. So I get into the circle. I start doing my thing, you know. Big crowd comes around me. We got a big circle. Everybody's cheering me on and everything like that. And it was fire. I was killing it. After that's all over with, I give me a towel. I'm wiping the sweat off my face. My friend's cousin walks up to me and he's like, yo, like, you nice with that dance thing, man. Like, did you know that Big Frida has auditions to go on a national tour about to happen in a couple hours? You should go audition for that. And I'm like, in a couple hours? Like, I'm like, that's kind of crazy, like, but I tell my partner Deuce, I'm like, yo, they got this audition going on in a couple hours. I'd like to go to it, but I got some barber clients. I got to go to the barber shop after. So I had my sweatpants and everything underneath my suit pants because I was expecting to go cut hair afterward. And then once again, another unexplained thing, my clients for the rest of the day canceled. I don't know what it was. They just canceled. They wasn't able to make it. Another thing happening that I can't explain. We go to the audition. So when I got there, they had 3 rounds. And this part of the story is short. I killed it. I killed the first round, I killed the second round, and I killed the third round. Listen to this. Within 24 hours, I went from possibly facing 10, 15 years in prison to being on a national tour, doing something that I thought that passed me by. One of the dreams that I had since I was young, to be a dancer, a professional dancer, and being paid for it with one of the most iconic music artists in my city. God restored that for me. And he showed that even if you think that something is passing you by, he can catch you all the way back up in a day, literally a day. And that happened for me, man. And there's one last piece to this. So back when I saw the word Jesus written on that wall when I was in the holding cell before I went into court, I saw this other name. It was a small name written on there, and it was the name of a friend of mine. For confidentiality reasons, I won't tell you his name, but his name was written on that wall real small underneath Jesus. Fast forward years later, and this person is now one of my clients at the barbershop. I told him this same story that I'm telling you right now, and that day, sitting in my barbershop, he gave his life to God, man. He didn't come to faith because I preached at him, because I told him he was a sinner and he needed to change his life or nothing like that. I just told him my story. I told him my testimony, and it was the power of my testimony. The power of God was working in my testimony and brought him back to God. Over the years, I've told this story to many people. Every single time that I tell this story, I get goosebumps. powerful moments. People cry. So that's why I got to tell this story to you right now. God was telling me for a while, like, you need to share this story. Your testimony has power. You don't have to be a preacher. You don't have to be nothing special. Moses wasn't nothing special. He said that he wasn't a very good speaker. God isn't interested in how articulate you are, how well you can speak. He takes the things that are weak and he makes them strong. It's somebody out there that needs to hear that story. Somebody out there needs to hear that it's not too late. God is powerful like that. He could do things that you can't even imagine, things that don't make no sense. He can restore everything that you thought was lost in one night, just like that. And that's my story, man. This is just a crazy story that happened to me. Something I felt like I had to share with you, how God transformed me, how he restored something in my life. If this touched you in any way, let me know in the comments. If you got a testimony, share it. Drop your story in the comments below, because somebody need to hear your testimony. Your story might be the one that helps somebody come back to God, might help them out of a dark place. And with that being said, thank you for listening and God bless you.